Yo, what is good, fellas? Hope you boys are all having a fantastic start to your NFL Sunday. Today we're talking about the best abilities and superstar X factors you guys need to be using on your teams. Now, this is a video we update about every month or so because the way the game works, the deeper we get into the Madden season and the NFL season, the more abilities they become usable. For example, this last week we saw the brand new unstoppable X factors. Gonna keep it 100 with you guys. I'm not including any of those on today's list, but we do have some really good glowing X factors to take a look at. Big issue with abilities right now is the amount of AP you can currently have on both sides of the ball. On offense, you have 4 to use. On defense, you got 5. So yes, knowing which is the best abilities to use given the limited AP matters, but it isn't make or break on your team quite yet. I will say though, once the AP limit gets increased and abilities start getting a little bit better and more prevalent in the game, abilities are going to dictate this game. It happens every single year, so if you don't like abilities, enjoy your time right now. Broke this video down by position. Let's hop over to the quarterback so we can take a look at the best quarterback abilities in the game. So when it comes to the best quarterback abilities, I have 2 that I think are top tier. Now for the example, we're going to be using Randall Cunningham. I don't expect most of you guys to have Randall Cunningham. Randall gets basically every ability in the game, and that's great, but there's supposed to be 100 of these cards in the world, so odds are you don't have this card. But he does get 2 of the best quarterback abilities in the game, so we're going to use him as the example. Now, if you're wondering what players get what abilities, there are 2 ways I go about it. 1, I literally just go into the catalog and look. The catalog is a great tool everyone should be utilizing. And 2, mutt.gg has a breakdown of every single ability, and then underneath that, which cards gets that ability and for how much AP. Now, talking about the actual quarterbacking abilities, first up, I think Gunslinger is the best quarterback ability in the game. Now, I am not personally a fan of using all of my AP on one ability, but if you guys, want to use Gunslinger, which basically makes your quarterback throw the ball faster, throw the ball harder, which does matter, especially in a game where blitzing and man blitz is kind of broken. I mean, we've all played DBL Mug. We all know how up the middle, up the A-gap blitzes, how annoying those can be. Getting your passes off even faster, that is exactly what Gunslinger can do for you. Just makes your team even better. Now, the big issue with Gunslinger, pretty much every quarterback that gets it, it is going to cost you 4 AP currently. And that's what I said in the beginning when we see an AP increase and abilities get reductions in pricing. That's when abilities are going to become significantly better. But right now, Gunslinger is the best quarterback ability in the game. It's been the best quarterback ability in the game. It's just really expensive. The other quarterback ability that I really like is Gift Wrap, higher chances to complete passes to uncovered targets. Now, last year in Madden 24, this was a big issue with open wide receivers dropping passes. Gift Wrap basically broke that. It also helped, I guess, preventing KOs from being that broken. Well, KOs and receivers don't drop as many open passes, but Gift Wrap still gives that increased chance to catch passes, especially high ball throws. And in a game where high ball meta, chucking it up to your 6'6" tight ends and hoping they come down with it is kind of the cheesy way to play right now. Anything that can help boost that, I am here for it. Now, when it comes to quarterback X factors, you guys can see we clicked over to Drew Bledsoe. There are a few that I like. I don't necessarily know if there's a best one to run currently. Depending on how you play, that is completely going to dictate if you should use a quarterback ability, and if you should, which one should you use. One that is really good, and I believe is only specific to Drew Bledsoe right now, Pass Lead Elite, make consecutive passes for 5+ yards, and this will give you increased throw power when leading bullet passes. This is basically set feet lead from years past. It's going to cost you 4 AP, and it's going to be a glowing X factor. Like I said, this is specific to only Drew Bledsoe. I think it's cool, but I don't like the Drew Bledsoe card, so I wouldn't recommend you guys use this. I do like Gunslinger as an X factor. Again, these are going to be glowing X factors. You got to do things to actually activate them. It says everything that you got to do on the description of the X factor. It's basically Gunslinger as the ability for half the cost, but it will go on and it will go off. It's cool, but it's not necessarily a requirement. One that I do like, but also don't like, Hot Route Master. Now, Hot Route Master gives you any audible on any single position. And when I can get this as an ability, I will spend all of my AP on Hot Route Master because I am a throwing Madden player. I love to throw zig routes, short crossers, corner routes in years past when you needed Hot Route Master to do that. That was something I needed on my team. Now, this year, you can audible corner routes in post, and you can also run some apprentices on your receivers and halfbacks, which is what I currently do. If you don't do that and you have 1 AP and 1 X Factor point you want to use, I don't hate Hot Route Master. Now, the issue with this is it'll be on for 4 plays or 5 plays and then go away. So, playing your offense out with those 4 plays on, you're going to have to dictate what you do and how you do it. It can be a little bit confusing, but at the same time, it is a very big added bonus when it is currently glowing. And then the rest of these are just very typical X Factors. Fearless, I don't love it. It's been better in years past. Quick Draw is cool, but again, you don't need it. Dots is historically one of the better ones. Now, I don't know off the top of my head if any of these quarterbacks get the X3 or the X2 or the X dots. The ones that say X3, X2, or X are just better. They're better glowing X Factors. You got to do things to activate them. The ones that say absolutely nothing, they're just typical X Factors. Dots and Gambit have been some of the better just typical X Factors in years past. They're good. I prefer Gambit, faster passes that can't be picked off by AI. You really want that for the faster passing. But Dots is cool because it basically gives you perfect throwing animations and perfect passes on any throw. Taking a look now at the wide receiver position, I think there are 3 abilities that I consider S or top tier. First up, Wide Receiver Apprentice, and then right next to those, Slot Apprentice and Outside Apprentice. Wide Receiver Apprentice gives you 4 additional hot routes at any wide receiver position, so whether they're lined up in the slot or the outside, you get the hot routes. Slot Apprentice gives it to you in the slot, and then Outside Apprentice gives you those same hot routes, but on the outside. So depending on how you play with what specific wide receiver card you're using, this really does matter. For me, I prefer Slot Apprentice. I love Zig routes. Zig routes are a great man-beating route. They're also just really good for short yardage situations, and you can only get them by having Slot Apprentice on your cards. Wide Receiver Apprentice, there aren't many cards, if any cards, that can actually get it, but when we do get it, this will obviously be the better one to run. It gives you both Slot and Outside Apprentice all combined up into one, but right now, I prefer Slot Apprentice over Outside, but again, depending on where your receiver is going to line up for you, that completely depends on your team. They'll typically cost the same AP. It's typically 2 AP per the wide receiver that gets it. Again, I run Slot. If you want to run Outside, go for it. Other wide receiver abilities that I think are cool, but not necessarily a requirement. Evasive. We'll talk about Evasive when it comes to running backs. I like Evasive. The juke move is good this year. I also think Tank is pretty good. I do prefer running Tank on tight ends, though. Any of these deep out elite or like deep in elite, short out elite, medium out elites, I don't really like those. I've never been a fan of those. It's just so specific to like 3 routes, and for 3 AP or literally 3 AP, do you want to be locked into having, for example, Hines Ward only run deep in routes? I don't think so. So for basically all of your AP, I don't like any of those right now, but as soon as, the AP requirement does get boosted, or they're, this gets reduced in price, then we can have another conversation. And this is exactly why we're updating this video every single month. Now, an ability that I don't know if anyone else has it besides Hines Ward, Route Tech, gonna cost you all 4 AP, but it basically just increases your route running. This is a really good ability, not at 4 AP. My opinion on wide receivers, just run 1 wide receiver in the slot with Slot Apprentice or 1 on the outside Apprentice, and you'll be totally good. But this is good to see coming back into the game, and should be really good again once we see the AP limit increased or the price per ability gets reduced. Now, the best wide receiver X Factors, I personally don't think there's any you really need to run on them. Obviously, like double or nothing is fun. It's just like a chuck up, let Randy Moss come down with the ball. But even then, I don't think there's one that's like a top tier glowing X Factor. You guys can see Slot Apprentice is really good, but for 1 AP, you might as well just spend the second AP and get it on there for the entire game. Again, with the X Factors, they're going to be on and off, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to manage that in your offense. I like Slot-O-Matic. It's cool. It gives better cuts and catching on slot short routes, which again, zig routes, if you pair this up with a hot route master, you could have a really good slot receiver. Here's the double me or the chuck it up Randy Moss ability. It's cool. We had things in the past called like Moss 100. I don't know if it's in the game yet. It might be. I'm sure it'll be here pretty soon. Basically, it's a little bit broken. It's on for 1 play and then basically gone. Double me is just a, I guess, subsection of that where it wins more aggressive catches versus single coverage. It's cool, but I don't think it's a requirement whatsoever. We'll talk more about the best glowing X factors for receivers, I'm sure, later on down the Madden cycle. If you remember Rack 'em Up, Yak 'em Up, Angry Runs, it was a good time, and well, let's go talk about Angry Runs. So if this is your first year playing Madden, you know we have a promo that drops every single Wednesday called Angry Runs. But if you're a Madden vet, then you know what the Angry Runs X Factor is gonna look like come this spring. Coolest part about this Angry Runs promo, besides giving us some really good cards, Angry Runs X Factor. Higher chance to win interactions versus the first defender. It's the glowing X Factor, and it is objectively broken. And in my opinion, is the best glowing X Factor to run on your running backs. Now, I get it is very specific to 4 cards right now, only 3 of them being a running back. But higher chances to win interactions versus the first defender. Fellas, if you haven't used an Angry Runs running back before, give it a try. It is so fun. Shout out Bo Jackson. Shout out Eric Dickerson. Got a really good Angry Runs card last year. Or not Angry Runs, but a Angry Runs X Factor card last year. It's a good time. It's a little bit broken, but it's the best running back X Factor in the game. And I know I went a little bit out of order there. I was just excited to talk about my favorite glowing X Factor in the game. When it comes to the best running back abilities, I'm a big fan of Running Back Apprentice. I'm a fan of Running Back Apprentice because of the Texas route. Now, you guys saw me talk about the zig route for wide receivers. I think the Texas route is even better on Running Back Apprentice on your running backs. It's an even better man beater. It's an even better just up the middle space filler. When in doubt, run a Texas route. Odds are it'll either be open or it'll cause something else to be open. Other running back abilities I do like Jukebox, I do like Evasive, I do like Bruiser, but besides that, there's nothing else you really should be running. At the end of the day, it does depend how you play this game, but for me personally, I like to throw the football, I like to score fast. Running Back Apprentice is a top tier ability. Now, when it comes to the tight end position, very similar to wide receivers, they basically get the same X factors, except tight ends do get something called Vanguard. Vanguard will be more broken as we go on throughout the Madden cycle, so we're not going to talk too deep on it right now, but just know, remember the name, Vanguard is going to be fun coming soon. And when it comes to the actual abilities on these cards, very, standard things to your wide receivers, Slot Apprentice or Tight End Apprentice, and then if you want to run like a Bruiser or a Jukebox or an Armbar, go for it. But at the end of the day, I don't recommend running any abilities on your tight end unless they are the center of your offense. And for most people, that's not going to be the case. All right, so that was everything over on the offense. Let's slide on over to the defensive side of things. The best defense ability in this game is Pick Artist. It was Pick Artist last time, and it's still going to be Pick Artist today. I am also a fan now, though, of mid-zone KO and then mid-out-zone KO. They basically just destroy corner routes and skinny post. It will cost you guys majority of your AP to run that specific ability on your, DBs. Aqib Talib is a different example because he is the top 100 reward we can't even claim, but I do think both of the mid KOs are really good. I also do like deep in zone KO, deep out zone KO, but like mid zone KOs right now are top tier. But Pick Artist, back to Pick Artist. Pick Artist basically prevents dropped interceptions and also improves your stamina on interception returns. It just helps with dropped interceptions, which is, in my opinion, the most annoying thing about this game. You play a perfect defense, but your defensive back just drops the ball. Well, if you got Pick Artist, odds are that will not be happening. Pick Artist will typically cost you about 2 AP per your defensive back, so you can only really have one of them out there. I recommend putting it on your top tier, I guess your best DB, or your best safety. The best safety that will be in your deep blue safety. And again, if you want to know what specific cards do get Pick Artist, go over to mutt.gg, go to the abilities tab and sort by Pick Artist. A bunch of really good DBs get this ability. It was the best last time and it's going to stay as the best. Now, taking a look at the best X factors to run, I do think there are 2 top tier secondary X factors. So this will include your DBs as well as your safeties. Obviously Pick Artist, and then universal coverage. If you didn't play Madden 24, then you have no idea what universal coverage was doing to people last year. It was basically all of the KOs in one. And now KOs aren't as broken as last year, but they're still really, really helpful to have on your field. So having universal coverage out there, it's top tier. Bottleneck is dominantly wins and man press attempts, which is cool, but universal coverage is man and zone, so just use universal coverage. There are a bunch of cards, I guess not a bunch of cards, but there are a lot of cards that do get universal coverage X3, X2, or AKA universal coverage. So again, mutt.gg will be your go-to resource for all of that. I actually don't like any abilities on the defensive line, but I do like some superstar X factors. We're going to use Von Miller for this. Like I said, no abilities, but some of these glowing X factors, they're just going to be broken. For example, double or nothing, top tier. This is fun. It's really broken, especially if you do have the AKA double or nothing, which will have to be ran on some of the AKA cards, which again, mutt.gg, or just go sort by AKAs and look at the top tier defensive linemen. Majority of them do get it. I also like Unstoppable Force. Unstoppable Force AKA is also another top tier ability. It is going to cost you 4 AP on a majority of those AKA defensive linemen, which is not something I necessarily do like. Here is Reggie White. This is his limited time, and it is going to cost you 3 AP. His champion is going to cost you 4, but 3 AP on one glowing X factor on your defense is not the play, especially when Pick Artist is a necessity to have out there, but still. It's a fun ability, especially if you have some AP to kill. I don't like Edge Threat Elite as much as I did in years past. It's there if you want to use it, but it's just not nearly as good. Same thing with like an Under Pressure, Unpredictable. I've never used it, and it's just not something you should ever use. Secure Tackler, I could see a world where later in the year it's going to be really good on your defensive line. But right now, not something I would necessarily run on your D-line. Now, the last position group we're going to be talking about today is your linebacking core. I got 2 abilities I think are top tier when it comes to your middle linebackers, and these are only your user middle linebackers. I don't like outside linebackers. The only time I would use an outside linebacker is if they're coming off the edge, and like we talked about earlier, I don't think you need to run abilities on your outside linebackers, so there's none to talk about. The 2 that I am personally a really big fan of that isn't Pick Artist, obviously some of them will be able to get Pick Artist. If that's the case, go for it. Lurk Artist, obviously linebackers animate without Lurk Artist this year, but it makes them jump like 25 feet in the air, which is like objectively broken. So it's a good time if you want to use Lurk Artist. I don't hate it. But then also Secure Tackler. This is not a meta ability whatsoever, but I've used this on multiple middle linebackers, and it is legit. When it comes to the best superstar X factors to run on your middle linebackers, I personally don't think you need to run anything. If you want to, I think running a Lurk Artist or an Avalanche, whereas Avalanche downhill, hit sticks, force more fumbles, could be fun, but at the same time, I would just run 3 Pick Artist or 3 universal coverage or some combination of that on my defensive side of things when it comes to my glowing X factors. And fellas, those are the best abilities and superstar X factors in Madden 25 currently. Again, this is a video we're going to update every single month, so for the month of November and I guess the beginning of December, this video is going to stand true. And once again, if you guys did enjoy this video, go down there and drop a like. I appreciate each and every single one of you. And if you got any ability-centric questions, drop them down in the comment section. I answer every single question. Twitter DMs and my Twitter mentions always open. Happy to help over there. But until next time, peace, guys. Have a good one. I love ya.